Hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome. So here we are at Sudha Live. Happy Friday. I'm Sudha Jamthe. I'm a technology futurist. I'm here on my usual end of the week live stream with you to talk about AI opportunities, events, jobs, fellowship, on all that you're learning about AI, especially my students who are from Stanford or Barcelona Technology School of Business School of AI, all of you who are out there, what can you do with AI? What are the opportunities? And usually I pick up one topic that's top of mind, a project that I'm working towards or a direction I'm going towards on multiple projects, and analyze it. And whether it is social media feed or whether that's what I seek, I seem to find more information related to that. So we'll be talking about variety of different opportunities as always. So I will share that. This week, I am going to show you, so where I went, what I saw is going to kind of inform my focus. And I tried to go pick what I want. But, you know, those of you who know me, know that I love chasing self-driving cars. I'm here from Silicon Valley. And those of you who are joining me on your Saturday morning from Asia, from Singapore, from Vietnam, in various places, I appreciate it. You know, giving me the slice of time from your weekend. And those of you here in US, trying to, you know, wrap up your week and still giving me time. It's a treat. I'm thankful for that. Okay, so talking of self-driving cars. So I have a habit, or I would say it's a hobby, of chasing self-driving cars. And guess what I saw? So the thing I'm going to talk to you about is I went for this event called AI Across America, which was hosted by Seed AI and in partnership with Stanford HAI, Human Artificial Intelligence Institute from Stanford. And we went to Stanford. Susanna Raj, ethicist, was there. I met a couple of my most recent Stanford students. So it's always fun for me. But so I'm going to talk to you about the event. But on the way, as I was just entering Stanford, what did I see? Let me show you. Let me share my screen. I got a little video snippet. So you're going to see it. Cars. It's actually a Hyundai self-driving car. It's not, I've not seen one before. Two of them. And then there are a bunch of Ford self-driving cars at Stanford because Ford has given some of these cars as part of our one of the labs here in Stanford. So we see a lot of them. So I saw one of those two, but this was a new thing. I've not seen a Hyundai one. So if you have any information, I'd like to find out where's this coming from? Is there a new office, some new pilot going on? I mean, every possible self-driving car company has a pilot here in California. Last I knew it was 60 pilots. Maybe there's more now. So love to know a little bit more. And the LiDAR that they had at the top, let me show that picture back again. Let me go back. The LiDAR they have at the top here, this one is kind of the latest, greatest, and I've seen that in other cars too. So I'm just curious where this is coming from. So we have the Baidu car, we have Neuro going a lot, and I'm talking about the Stanford, Palo Alto to Mountain View, which is kind of the way where I hover around. I see a lot of these. And then there is Cruise in San Francisco. There's Waymo now in San Francisco also. And there's a lot of them which don't have any names or something. So I'm just curious. I had asked a question last week about, it was more a quiz question. I was talking to you about fundamental models and said, there is an AI model that can take text as input and then generate an image. It generates an image. So if I say, hey, there is a car behind you, it will show a car behind something, whatever that you is interpreted as. So it has to be more precise. So there was this Imagen that was introduced by Google. We've not gotten access to it. DALL-E is out there. Some people have gotten access. You can sign up and request access. All of them are foundational models, which are basically making the AI generate new content. And so that's the movement we are going towards this. And we had GPT image, which was also like, trying to guess the image. If you give half an image, it will fill in the rest of the image and generate the full image. That was a previous model, which was precursor to GPT-2 and GPT-3. So my quiz to you, and if you missed it, I'm going to give you another week's time, not a whole week's time, till next Wednesday at Weekly Wednesday. I will give you the answer. And some of you complain that you've not heard about this because I said only in Sudha Live, and people at Weekly Wednesday had not heard it. So here we've got it. If you're interested in self-driving cars or you're interested in AI and innovation, I want you to think about, if I give you an AI, any of this new AI foundation models that can take a text input and generate a new image. If you have an AI, such an AI given to you, how will you use it to improve the safety of self-driving cars? So we saw self-driving cars, it has LiDARs, it has cameras, it has all these sensors, combines them as sensor fusion. That's how it sees the road. So it's trained by images and videos, and it sees images and videos. So it's images input, images output, right? So now I'm talking about, if you give words as input and an image can be the output, how can a self-driving car utilize it? So think about it. And I've given this offer and it still holds good. 9 o'clock on Weekly Wednesday is my speaker series, which is where my student alums come together on Business School of AI. And we have fun conversations on a fresh new topic, and across the globe, knowledge sharing and all fun stuff. So my question to you is, will be answered. I'll answer this quiz first thing at Weekly Wednesday, next Wednesday at 9 a.m. California time, 18-hour Europe time. If you come watch this later, 1 p.m. Brazil time, it's 18-hour in Nigeria. So think about it. Think about where your imagination can take you, because that's what we really need for AI to work for us. It's not just another way. There's a speed at which there is research happening, and as I was saying last week, I was saying that even in my classes last week, how the research world of NLP and research world of computer vision is coming together. So this is NLP, if you're able to interpret the words. And if you're generating images or interpreting images, that's in the realm of computer vision. Now it's coming together. How will you use it in the world of self-driving car? And I believe that is a use case. I have not seen it. I do not believe it exists out there. I can tell you with confidence, it doesn't exist out there, but it's possible to do something to improve the safety. And I want to hear from you. And if you answered this correctly, if you have not bought one of my books, I will let you choose one of my 6 books. I have books on Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, AIX design, and what do I have? And self-driving cars, right? I'll let you choose one of those books, and I'll give you a signed copy if you want, or I'll ship a copy digitally if you're remote somewhere, you want it immediately. Or if you want to work on this idea, whatever idea you come up with, you might think of a totally different use case than the one I'm thinking about. But if you have an application use case that you're thinking about, I will take you to any of the self-driving car companies that I know, and I have students in most of them. And maybe you can go build on it, make it happen. If it's going to improve the safety of self-driving cars, I'm sure all these companies will listen. At least I'll take you in Silicon Valley to one of the companies, to one of the innovation centers for the self-driving car companies. So that's the quiz. So how will you reply back to me? Don't reply here on LinkedIn. Let me think. You can come to Weekly Wednesday if you want to explain it and answer, or you can reply back to me to my newsletter, or you can reply to me on LinkedIn. I believe that's easy. That's the easiest thing. I do allow for open responses. And for those of you who are new to Weekly Wednesday, not been there, I'm going to show you. I went to Google, bit.ly. So here you see bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter. This is my newsletter, which goes out on Sundays. And so every link that I'm going to be sharing here as an opportunity in Sudha Live here will be put together as a newsletter. So you can click and come watch it. If you're part of this mailing list, if you get this, you can reply and talk to me too. So I hope I'll hear back from you. Otherwise, show up at weekly Wednesday and it's all free. I hope that you will be able to come up with something fun and we'll be able to go build something. Yeah. Okay. So I went to Stanford for this event, AI Across America. What is it? So this is an event run by Seed AI. I was not familiar with Seed AI before that. And Seed AI, I'm going to show you their website too. They have multiple websites. So this is their homepage for Seed AI. So what they are doing is they are basically trying to bring ecosystems of AI all over America. And so the thinking is there is inequality in access to technology or funding, even education, and how do you accelerate that and bring it to everybody in every pocket? And it's not just about running classes and a bunch of courses. How to do this? No, nobody out there wants AI just for the sake of AI. So what I got out of this event on AI Across America is they're doing a roadshow, and Seed AI did this event in partnership with Stanford HAI, and the AI Caucus from Congress from America was there. And we had our Congresswoman Anna Ashu, who's the vice chair of this caucus, who did the opening and talked about it. And I believe there is going to be more of this AI caucus events across the country. I believe I heard them talk about Chicago as one of their stop. So we had Representative Anna Ashu, Representative McNerney from the AI caucus. And I believe there is going to be more of these rounds. So you'll see, a few more people who are involved in the AI caucus, other Congress people from Texas and other places. You'll be seeing them as they go around the country. So the thinking is, if you are, and they gave this example of agriculture. So in Central Valley in California, we have farms and agriculture is their main thing. And we have some fisheries, and the fishermen are interested in that. Specifically, we have forest fires in different parts of the state. So I'm just thinking about California, since they were talking from California yesterday. So in any place you go inside California, outside of Silicon Valley, if you ask them what problem you want to solve for, which they said as being goal oriented. So the agricultural regions would want to get better yield in agriculture, reduce their costs, get better supply chain, and you could use AI to do that. So we could work with them and create a partnership in solving their problem for agriculture in that region for that particular part of the state. And similarly for the fisheries, similarly for wildfire prevention and the like. And like this, now you expand into the country, there's going to be various different problems you can solve, but led by the local community on what is right for them, in partnership with several nonprofits and education institutions and maybe private organizations. So that's what Seed.ai is facilitating. So this was done very well and they brought a lot of people and they drove discussions on various topics. And I sat in this breakout session about bringing how to reduce inequality, and specifically focused on a question on what is the fastest way to create an on-ramp for people who are outside of AI in a more frictionless way for them to get into AI. And so there was discussion about education, but also about, not just education from in a community college or regular universities, but general education for people, and how to make it goal oriented, so you can explain AI to them in a sense that it is not about not about the technology, but about the output. And there's a lot of discussion about data. So I'm a big believer that AI is very unique compared to other technologies from the past, because anybody can build a technology in the past and build an app or build a product and then go sell it to somebody else if they create distribution. But with AI, it cannot be done without the local data sets of the local community. So if you're watching and you're not involved in AI yet, or you're thinking, okay, how do I get into this? You have the power because you own the data. And so that's how I want to wrap this up. So think about it it translates to in your community, in your region, in your world. It could be in your silo, or, depending on, your identity, how you're thinking about this. Think of the problems that you have, and can AI solve it? AI can solve only predictive problems. If it's like a set of steps and you can write a code, you don't need AI to do that. So if AI can solve that problem, then you could collaborate with Seed AI, or you can learn AI and bring AI into your life in various different forms. So I love that. That conversation was very, very inspiring. It just gave me hope. And Susanna Raj is actually an artist before she's an AI ethicist. She was there. So I'm hoping that she will not stop at just listening to this, and she's going to do something with art and AI, because she wants to bring art into AI. So let's see what comes out of that. Okay, so what else have I got for you here? Let me go back. I have lots of open windows and notes for you. So one of the things that was what was presented at this event was from Pramod Kargonekar, who is the Vice Chancellor of Research and distinguished and is a distinguished professor of electrical engineering and computer science from UC Irvine. He was a leader in NSF, the National Science Foundation, before, and he said he was not representing NSF, but he spoke to us about this whole program from NSF called NSF Engines. So let me share the screen. That was the first time I had heard about it, so I'm not, promoting them or anything, but I found that, it goes in line with the same thinking that you want to create ecosystems of innovation across the country with an application lens. So I've seen this in decades of my life in technology industry, that there would be research organizations which would create research, and then there would be people like product and growth organization. I've always been in product management or in analytics and growth organizations, which is towards growing the business. And so at some point, there's always been this call for, okay, what do we have as research? How can it translate to an application and solve a business problem? So that's how I'm interpreting this. The NSF Regional Innovation Engines is a program that is inviting proposals, and it's calling for partnerships. The best part I like about this, it's calling for partnerships from academia, from nonprofits, from private industry, from government entities, to create innovation ecosystems, and to take research, but not just fundamental research, but to create application-oriented research, and to translate technology innovation into some kind of problem solving or workforce development or reskilling, that kind of thing. And it's across the country, and there's programs with grants and stuff. So this was just announced on May 3rd, I believe. And so it's in very early stages. If you read what this initiative is about, there's an opportunity. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're sitting anywhere and you're saying, hey, I could solve the problem, like I was giving you earlier, ideas that you can think about, that I have this problem to solve for my region. Here is some grant, and here is, they're calling for collaboration. So you could be anybody, right? You can be an NGO, you can be any kind of entity, you can work with them. So that was the I think it was on Thursday, but it feels like it was long ago, because I love this event, and the kind of people I met there was fantastic. I told you about my self-driving cars that I met, Hyundai self-driving cars. The other thing is, I was talking to you about research and two different programs. So the IJCAI Voice AI workshop, I've decided to decline it, and I'm not going to participate in it, because I thought it was a hybrid program, meaning my whole motivation in everything I do is I like to create collaboration across different silos. You've seen my IoT day. I bring 24 women in 24 hours. They're brilliant women from every possible time zone to present something on a theme. This time it was AI research was our theme, or we've done various aspects of IoT and AI and autonomous vehicles. But I like people from various different worlds collaborating together, different people who come from different realities. That's exciting for me. That's why AI development is also exciting for me, because AI is built from various different people. And somebody I met at the AI for America event was telling me this thinking of mine. They were calling it in medicine. You have this medicine narrative of how people describe their problems, and it's different from different people. So she was saying that what I have is an engineering narrative on how different people in different roles define what they are building, what problem they're solving as they're working together in a team. So that's a new phrase I learned, engineering narrative. So that's the thinking, right? So I like different people to come together. So this IJCI, they said it was hybrid. Then they said it's not really hybrid. They've created this diversity and inclusion workshop options for people who are already at the event, who are going to be live. And they did this online because of COVID last year. They've decided to do it live in Vienna, in Austria this year on July 23rd onwards for a week. And so I believe July 23rd is a weekend. So I was thinking, maybe I could go in person, or Emmanuel Bianchini, who's, you've seen him before. He's one of my students, and he's a expert in sound and related IoT and AI, coming from Flex Electronics. He's an entrepreneur. So he was going to be in Europe. So I was thinking maybe, Emmanuel can run a workshop there, and we can bring people who are interested or working in voice AI from around the globe and drive a hybrid event. And they can't do a hybrid event. They can't let us do Zoom. It's not set up for streaming. And so we could potentially do a recording. And so I've decided that. So the voice AI IJCI event is not happening on my end. They are not running. They don't have it. They just have research papers and a regular conference. So if you're interested in voice, I'm on the lookout for another opportunity where this makes sense, because voice AI, bringing diversity to the discussion on voice AI, is a topic dear to me. And I will pick it up at some other point. If there's an opportunity, I'll look out for it. If you know of something, talk to me. But for now, I'm going to park it. But the exciting news is NeurIPS, which is a huge AI conference that is happening in New Orleans by end of the year, November 28, 29, I believe it starts 28, and it runs for 2 weeks. They have a social affinity group. This is the other workshop that I was talking about. When I was telling you I was working on it, I had not yet, I had not yet submitted, I believe, at that time. But I submitted it and they approved it. So we are going to NeurIPS. I'm going to be there in person, New Orleans, end of the year. And this is called Global South Language Models Meetup. That's my affinity group. And some of you know I've been working on this. I've been talking about, why do you think I've been talking about foundation models and diversity in language and diversity in data sets? So we're going to bring that together. So the plan is to work with multiple different groups who are working on GPT or BERT for different languages, from Africa, from Latin America, from Asia, from various different parts that is not technically the global north, and figure out how we can collaborate, what is common in their attempt to build language models, which is not English, or like based on an English translation and you do a deep learning model. What is the difference? It is so amazing. It's so amazing. There are so many groups out there. There are Slack groups and Telegram groups and channels out there. And there are groups, teaching each other, collaborating, and they're building research papers together. My plan is to bring 5 of these groups together, get them, and especially I want to bring people who have not been in research into the world of research, because we need that. We have academicians publishing research, or if you're a PhD, you're automatically, if you're a fellow or you're, something like that, you're going to be publishing research. For everybody else, it's pretty intimidating because they think it's very hard to even read that language. But there's a method to the madness. There are standard templates, and all you're doing is you are coming with an innovation. Just like in the product world, you would come with an innovation and you will go build it. In this case, you'll come with an innovation. You'll see a gap for something that can be done, either in a data set, either in building a product, in solving for a problem, and you create a hypothesis and you run some experiments with strong stats models. You have to make sure that you prove what you're saying empirically. The way to write a research paper is you just can't write like a stream of conscious. Everything you say cannot be an opinion. It has to be substantiated on past research. So you're building on past research, and then you're proposing your new suggestion as a hypothesis, and you show your data on what is the results. So let me show you. So that's the thing. So because I've been wanting to bring more people who are not in the research world into research, we've hosted a Research 101 topic at IoT Day that I presented. Yash Ashwini, Yash, who's host the weekly Wednesday, has been doing a few of those. And so I'm willing to do another round of Research 101. I heard from a couple of my students who want to get into research. They love innovation. They're working in companies. They know to build products. They just have not published research. So if you're one of them, I want to hear from you, then I will host another round of a Research 101 webinar, either at weekly Wednesday or where it seems fit. Will be online likely. So let me know. And so what I'm going to do is these 5 groups, I'm going to bring 5 poster sessions. So in research, if you're developing an idea, you just don't straight away build the research paper. It takes a while. So you publish a poster on what is your idea, what is the problem you're solving, how are you approaching to solve the problem, what are the results, what is the challenge, where are you stuck, where do you want help, where are you going with this, and it's a research poster. And we're going to publish research posters from these 5 different groups. So my promise is to create collaboration across these 5 groups around the globe in Global South on language models, and then help them come up with 5 posters, and then find out what is the commonality by which they can collaborate. And for those of you who know me, I don't take an easy path. I like diversity, and I like complex problems. I like to demystify complex problems that involves a lot of people. That's kind of my strength. So I'm not looking to handpick 5 people from my network. I'm looking to collaborate across 5 different groups who are building language models and working on their own to create collaboration, so that when we present this paper, we will be at NeurIPS and we will see the amazing, amazing brilliance of other people who are working in the space. We get to get feedback from them to improve this, to go build on partnerships and go work on things and things like that. So I hope this will help us kind of get to that. So between now and December, like November sometime, when we'll build out the final posters, this is going to be my focus. So if you're working on language models, if you're even a linguist who has opinions on this, or you have research on this on the social science side, or I'd say shared a paper called Decolonizing Data. There is a movement to take data and you decolonize it. And if you're somebody working on it, so I'm not looking for 5 language models for 5 languages, but to see how you can create different research dimensions of it. So each of these 5 is going to bring a different aspect of it. That's the thinking. It'll be representing different languages. So I'm talking to somebody from somebody from Brazil. So the Brazilian Portugal would be their focus, but they would bring a different dimension to it. And I'm talking to somebody, I don't have anybody who's working on Spanish models. I said this, who's working on the Spanish language. So if you are working on this, know anybody from Latinx and AI, I want to collaborate with you. So hope we can find some common ground and take this forward to the next level. So that's where I'm going. So that's the most exciting project that I'm going to be working on in the near future. And I spoke to you about limitlessness, and that is my my newsletter. So I spoke to you a lot about, not just limitlessness. I was telling you, how do you define being limited? So I'll be writing a lot about limitlessness. That's my goal, because in everything I do, my motivation is to break barriers, to break this boundary. If you're looking to career pivot, you think like you're in one industry, you're new to AI, I like to help you. When you're coming to my AI for product and business managers and you don't code, and I would like to give you no code AI. In fact, I'm working on this no code AI course for LinkedIn learning. And so I'm always looking for, getting to a place where we can just innovate, have fun, collaborate, but without any limits. Don't feel like I can do it for whatever reason, wherever you come from. That's my motivation. So you will see me sharing that perspective. And then, of course, I bring technology innovation. That's kind of my thing. So that's my newsletter. So sign up. It's on LinkedIn. And we'll have fun with the discussions and stuff. Okay, so let me see. Before I go to events and stuff, I want to show you. I believe I did mention this. Yashashwini has been building, Yash hosts the Weekly Wednesday. She's an AI researcher from Bangalore. Let me see. She has been posting. I've not shared my screen yet, guys. I see it. So give me a minute. So this is Yashashwini Vishwanath, AI researcher, and she's focused on responsible AI. And she's a specialist on fairness and explainable AI. So she started this 100 days of explainable AI, and she posts something about it, a learning resource about this. So here she shared a research paper from Advait S from Microsoft Research. And here it is explainable AI, a race against model complexity. That's a very interesting perspective, because if you're going to make AI explainable, then you're going to see the inside of it. That means you're going to reduce complexity, that you can create transparency in it. And so she finds very interesting, insights, and she shares them. So you can follow her, and on her LinkedIn post, she's posting one per day and calling it 100 Days of AI. And I believe she has also created a sign up. Let me find it. It's called bit.ly/xai from Yash. And it goes to a sign up where you can just give your email and subscribe. Of course, it's a mailing list. If you don't like it, you can always unsubscribe, and then she'll send you a weekly digest. So if you're curious about it, interested in responsible AI, specifically explainable AI, and she's a very technical person, and she's super smart and can explain things in simple English all the way, build up to the metrics and to technology. So I think she's going to do more with that, but right now she's sharing resources, so that's where she's going. So if you sign up for it, you're going to get more explainable AI digest of all the different shares that she's been doing on a daily basis. Or you can simply follow her on LinkedIn, and you will get that directly. Then I have a bunch of other resources. I want to go back to this topic of the global north, global south thing, because maybe I should do that first. Let me find this link first. And then I have a bunch of resources. I have a bunch of events and stuff that I was promising. So with this AI across America, they were talking about how AI opportunities and learning is with some regions. Like in Silicon Valley, we have lots of jobs and lots of resources to learn AI easily. And then if you go to some other part of the country, you don't have it. And that's where they're creating the ecosystem. And so when I'm talking about global south and language models, and that is not published enough, and they're doing this in isolation away from everybody else, I just realized we are thinking within the country, there are pockets where there's innovation, and then there's regions which are missing on the innovation. They could benefit from the innovation. And similarly, within the global north and south, the same thing is happening. So in some sense, we are looking at AI as an opportunity, but because AI is powered by local data sets, you cannot get the full benefit of AI till the local region that does not have the AI knowledge, but has the data set, which has the problem, it has the historic data that can solve for that problem, comes together. So it's very beautiful because AI by itself cannot be just built as a technology and then sold to somebody for everybody to use, because it won't be useful unless it is trained by the local knowledge from the local data sets. So it calls for collaboration. I am a person who likes collaboration and bringing partnerships and people together. So it's very juicy for me. That's one of the reasons why I like the whole concept of AI. So I just realized that the AI for America is trying to do that across America, and the same thing is happening, with the global South and North collaborations. It's leading to a similar thing in a way that so to bring the diversity, but it kind of create there is a rift of the haves and have-nots in some sense, a digital divide and the opportunity divide and the economic growth that comes with it. And so, creating these collaborations is beautiful. So I feel very purposeful about what I'm doing because of that. So before I close out the global South topic, I found this beautiful resource from this researcher. His name is Ranjit Singh. He's interested in the intersection of data infrastructures and public policy. So the beginning of Jan 2021, Ranjit Singh has written this Mapping AI in the Global South, and is working on this project. He calls for collaboration. He explains about this, that the development in Global South should not be studied or addressed just as a derivative of the Global North. You have to think of that as a rich empirical site, to think about the ethics of it, the politics of it, and then you don't have enough data because there's data, but the right data infrastructure is not available in some countries in Global South. So he calls it fractured data environments. So this is a beautiful, this is datasociety.net article, and it's on Medium. I'll share this also in the newsletter, and also on LinkedIn. I'll come and post where you're watching right now. Let me see if I can come and add this link. So that's the thing. So he's working on a project. So obviously he has a mailing list. I don't know him, or I don't know Ranjit in any form, and I don't, he's asking for interviewees, and he has a mailing list and calling for collaboration. So I'm going to check that out. But he's part of this data and society team called AI on the Ground, and he demystifies this concept of Global South and the data in the Global South, and why we need collaboration and why we need to think about Global South. And he had another interesting thing. He said, focusing on South is a method to understand, analyze, and build developmental, post-colonial and decolonial computing practices. The one person that has been talking to me about this or introduced me to this is my student Aishatu Guadape. Let me find her. I've shared her work before. She is a peace technologist and an amazing person. Aishatu, give me a minute. Aishatu Guadape. And yeah. So one of the things Aishatu does is she's a peace technologist, and she also is the person who got me thinking about NLP for Hausa language from Africa, 7th most spoken language, but it is not the 7th language added in Google Translate or any other translate engine. The other thing is she also has a bunch of work she does. I think she did this for a grant for Mozilla, is generating art using AI. And that's another way you can bring AI to everybody, because art speaks to everybody. And so I just wanted to share her profile here if you want to follow her, Aishatu Guadape. So that's another learning resource in my mind. Then let me go to a couple resources that I want to quickly share. There is a interesting book called The Ethics of AI and Robotics, a Buddhist Viewpoint by Suraj Hongladaram. And I thought that was very interesting, different perspective on ethics. I've had some discussions on this, heard that in Japan and other places, but it was very fascinating for me to hear that. There is a Kaggle competition on Google smartphone Decimeter Challenge, it's called. And it still has 2 more months. You can submit and participate in a team. This was shared by, and it's a $10,000 prize money. This was shared by Suresh Lokaya. So thank you, Suresh. So I would recommend you check it out if, general positioning, navigation accuracy, GNS or GPS positioning is your thing. And then talking of GPS positioning, there is another event, which is like, I talk about how anytime you build AI, it's always built for a good reason. And then there are the other personas who take over. There are other bad uses for it. So talking of GPS systems, STOP is an organization from New York. It stands for Surveillance Technology Oversight Project. And so they have a series of, it's called Stop Surveillance Summer. And they're doing a bunch of rallies. And they have a call for a press conference on Monday, which is actually election day for us. On Tuesday, June 7th. They've called for a rally here. And they are interested in making sure that, AI is used for good and it stops surveillance in everything, that how police uses geofencing, facial recognition, and all of those. And they want to make sure that that is used, equitable way and not profiling people and, harming democracy essentially. So they're against surveillance. So that is their event. If you're in New York, this is an event for you. If you're online, there's another event on June 8th about how we can improve mental health for 100 million people within 5 years. This is from ITU. It's called AI for Good. They have a whole series of events, and this is on it's European time, 4 o'clock to 5:30 on June 8th. So it is just before our weekly Wednesday, which is at 18 hour on Wednesday. So I know Yash works on mental health related AI, especially AI algorithms to make them equitable. I told you about the NSF regional engines, explainable AI from Yash, shared a bunch of events. Another interesting thing that came across my way, I'm coming to the tail end of our live stream today, is this article from HAI talks about leaky abstractions. And they're talking about how the role of UX and the designers and engineers is evolving. And this is from Andrew Myers. And this is an interesting read. This actually concept of UX designers use their understanding of human behavior and usability principles to design UI. But AI is challenging. So this is calling for AIX, which is my framework for design. So I teach that everywhere. And I have the Masters in UX Design class at Barcelona Technology School, working on a project, learning AIX from me right now. I'm teaching them AI ethics and AIX design. So this Hariharan Subramaniam's, who's a research professor at Stanford School of Education, came and called this out, that we need a different way of designing for AI. And so I would share that also in the newsletter. So the easiest way for me to show you the AIX design, which is how do you design for artificial intelligence? And I'm going to show you a latest geek toy that is being launched from Amazon. And it's I've heard about it, announced here in US, and I heard it is coming to India, and there was excitement from somebody who shared that with me. And when you design AI, the easiest thing, it can be any AI, but if you think of a robot or KiwiBot, it's easy. So my Barcelona Technology School class, I've told them to look at KiwiBot, which is a food delivery bot, and do apply AIX design to it. And my AIX design framework is about deciding how do you humanize the AI, whether you need to genderize the AI, what is its personality, to be thoughtful about it from a design UX by applying UX design principles. And then I've taken that and I added a character framework to it. So what I'm going to show you next is to teach you the AIX framework. I'm going to share a presentation I did along with two of my colleagues at a conference. I hope you're able to see the full screen here. Yeah. Thank you. So we presented this as a paper called Dynamic Character Development for Artificial Intelligence. I did this along with Dr. Charles Ickham and my student, Viola Mibach, who's an AX designer who works at Ford Design Agency in Barcelona. And so here's
Hi, I am
Robot.
your host, Astro Robot.
This is the toy that is being launched by Amazon. And what is it doing?
My job is to scan your home and track every human. I would like to keep you safe so you can shop a lot more on Amazon.
So that's us. This is our framework. And I'm going to skip through this. AIX design is to think about user needs, data needs, interface needs. This is what I was telling you. How do you genderize it, humanize it? Think about the personality. What is the tone of conversation? Think about when the AI fails. What is the negative persona? How do you design for that? And then are you going to make the AI give agency to the human, or it's going to be...
What is the problem? What is missing in human?
Okay. So there's no clarity on what are the core ethical principles or values of AI and who manages the personality.
What is the problem? What is missing in human computer design today?
So the personality development is done without character. So Astro Robot is going to be launched, and there is discussion about what is the personality of Astro Robot, but whether it is going to be transparent, whether it is going to be fair and unbiased, whether it is going to be responsible, whether it's going to be trustworthy. Maybe they've designed all that, but we don't know, right? So that's my proposal, that there is no clarity on what are the core ethical values of the AI. And who is managing this personality as the AI continues to interact with us? What does the evolution look like? And then we as humans get attached to devices and we treat them like little pets and we want to hold on to them and talk to them.
Let us see what these humans are proposing.
First, obviously, UX designer. This is where I'm talking about leaky abstracts between the UX designer and the software engineer or ML engineer. The UX designer is responsible for keeping the AI design to be ethical. So they have to start with what is the values and as fixed tenets, and then you get involved throughout the AI development life cycle, and then you use the interaction data to keep adapting the personality of the AI. So that's the thinking. So you start with the core tenets, that is characters. Then you define the behaviors, and then with that you build the personality. Now it could be quirky, it could be funny, it could be apologetic, it could be smart. You can design what the personality is. And then you build the training AI, build the inference model, learning AI, and you get data from the user research and start the training. And then you go with the user interaction data and you build the personality. This is an iterative continuous learning AI. And then you build the interface and you say, what does the interface need? Is this a voice interface? Is this a augmented reality interface? Is this a computer vision interface? Is this an invisible AI? It doesn't have a visible UI, but it has a UX. So you think of that and then you plan and build the whole thing. So this is our framework. And so I just wanted to put it out there. If somebody wants to have access to it, this is a published paper and I'm happy to give access to you. And I hope if you're involved in UX design, you'll think about designing AI. It's not a technical exercise, but your design expertise is very much needed. And you're responsible for making sure the AI is ethical. Of course, you're going to be working in collaboration with a lot of different teams and other roles involved. But I want to make sure that my students who are hearing this, who are the UX designers and the digital transformation leaders out there, get to learn a AIX design framework and go build AI, participate in the building of the AI. So with that, I want to wrap up. I've already given you, usually I put the events and jobs and everything towards the end. I'll be adding some jobs too in the newsletter. So bit.ly/Jamthe newsletter, if that's something that you want to follow up, all these links will be there. Otherwise, I will see you. Don't forget the quiz on how you can improve autonomous vehicle safety using foundational model that takes a string of words as input and produces an image as output. So that's the quiz. Come back with answers to Weekly Wednesday. And I don't think I shared the Weekly Wednesday recording. So usually if you're signed up at bit.ly/weekly-ved, let me show you where you can sign up for that. Weekly ved event. You should get access to that. So it's bit.ly/weekly ved event. I believe that's the URL that should take you to the sign up, and you can, it's actually a research 101 webinar we did. Some of the recordings are already here. And you can just sign up, you'll get your Zoom link going. And then we usually put this out on YouTube sometimes, but we definitely put it on the Business School of AI, the sign up place where you saw it, and you can find it. So this week at Weekly Wednesday, we had a very interesting topic. I forgot to share that with you. We had 2 research papers.
This has never been used to represent somebody.
Sorry, I will go back for a minute. So we had 2 research readouts. One was AI in elephants, and from Chinmayi from Bangalore. She is a high school student who's doing her 10th grade. And then we had Yash do a research paper about one of our recently published paper about inclusive AI in autonomous vehicles. You've heard about that before. We've linked to that. So that is in the beginning. And I believe Chinmayi's thing starts about how she takes elephants' localization. Let me hear it from her.
Low frequency calls. These are actually the most commonly used by elephants. And some components are not been audible to the human ear since they are infrasonic.
I'm going to
use for communication.
It's very fast. You can slow down the.
To enable more accurate detection in entry for areas. I also use an electronic recording device, which helps me detect films that are producing vocalizations that are infrasonic, like the rumbles that I talked about.
So she built an IoT device. That's exciting for me.
So the Raspberry Pi sends alerts currently via Telegram when an elephant is detected near them. This can inform the response team or the village about the location of the elephant as well as its current route.
Okay, and then she actually showed us
those results to someone
actual device, I believe, towards the end. She showed us the.
Just a second, I'm opening it. If the risk of aggression is quite high, if the risk of invading the village is quite high, then this alarm system starts ringing.
Okay, so this is, here is her name if you want to catch her name. Chinmayi Ramasubramanian, that's her name. And she's a 10th grade student in Bangalore. So she built this IoT device which takes voice, and she literally actually works with a nonprofit which tries to save elephants and avoid human-elephant conflicts in villages in India. And she's working on that. It's amazing stuff. And she's very big on animals and keeping balance with the environment and stuff like that. So if that's your thing, she's a person you can collaborate with. Definitely watch the Weekly Wednesday recording. I'll also add it to the newsletter. And I was sharing that to show research readouts from 2 different papers that came out at Weekly Wednesday. So with that, I'm going to wrap up. Hope I'll see you on Wednesday at Weekly Wednesday, or I'll see you back here at Sudha Live. Or you know how to find me on LinkedIn or reply back to my newsletter. And hope you all stay safe and have a fantastic weekend. Okay, have fun, guys and girls and everybody else. Okay.